Hi Gemini, welcome to your reading. So can we believe it, we're already at the full moon in Aries for October. So I'm again switching things up a little bit, and so what I'm doing now is I've done a kind of a general overview forecast of the astrology, which you can see in a separate video, and then this is designed to kind of supplement this. So I've got the Arcana of astrology cards here to sort of illustrate a few concepts that are relative specifically to you, and then what I'm going to do is a geomancy reading just to kind of look and see what's going on in the 3D and how it kind of dovetails with the astrology. So the first thing to say, Gemini, is that at this particular full moon, we've got some interesting energy going on. We have Saturn, which is kind of coming just sort of out of direct motion, and will be coming off of its square to Mars. So that residue may well kind of play into this energy as as the lunar phase, the full moon kind of unfolds over the next 2 weeks. So just something to bear in mind. But because Saturn is changing direction, I kind of think that what's happening is that from internal resistance, we're moving into a situation where things are there's more kind of obstacles in the outside world that need to be kind of removed or dealt with. But what I'm kind of advising everyone is what's meant for you won't pass you by, and so if some things need to crumble, which I think they're going to on the collective level anyway, is just to sort of let go and not to resist that process, because it will make it less painful. But let's look at the actual where this full moon is going to fall for you, in terms of house placements. So I just want to get out the correct house cards for you, which I seem to have misplaced. So that was for Aries. Okay, so we're talking about, that's right. So Aries for you falls in your 11th house. So this is where the moon will be at this full moon. And so this is really highlighting your friendships, number one, your group connections. So this can be professional associations. It can also be social groupings. So, where we're kind of part of a club or an association, for example, like a professional association, such as like the bar association or whatever. But equally, it could be about, a team sport. So a hobby, maybe you're on the committee for something, on that kind of level. And this is really bringing something to culmination, to a climax, or maybe to an end. So you may be sort of deciding that you don't really want to be a member of, X gym anymore, or maybe you want to go off social media, or maybe a matter with a friend is kind of coming to a head. But certainly, full moons, especially in Aries, which is quite fiery energy, there could be some kind of dispute kind of coming to a head here now. Things could be sort of flaring up. And then the sun will be in your 5th house, which is the house of children, hobbies, as well as new relationships. So it's the house of passion, essentially. So we're talking kind of sex and new relationships. So again, this flare-up may actually have something to do with a relationship of some kind. So whether there's a third-party situation going on, perhaps involving a friend, or whether you've kind of met this person, through a group of friends, and it's potentially has implications for either the relationship or for the friendship. Maybe you kind of met and there's been a few issues, and it could get a little bit awkward, for example, with a friend who kind of feels responsible for introducing to the person, or feels embarrassed because of whatever. But these two areas of your life are going to be connected now, not necessarily negatively, I might add. But I think the key thing here is to think about Chiron, which will be close to the moon at this full moon. So healing, and I think healing potentially within, as I say, a friendship or a group situation. And then we've got Mars that will be coming off of that square to Capricorn. And Capricorn is your kind of 8th house stuff. So I do think this has probably got something to do with sex and intimacy and trust issues, kind of coming to the fore. But anyway, let's get into your reading and see, what wants to come out. I also hope that the sound is a little bit better in this video. I've had such problems with microphones and drivers and all sorts of things. I've had such problems with sound management apps or control panels blocking up my CPU and kind of causing my camera to crash and heaven knows what else. So I'm hoping that I've finally resolved that issue, and if the sound is better for you, then do let me know in the comments if that is the case. I'm really hoping so, because this has been going on now for about, well, since the beginning of the year, really. But anyway, we don't want to rabbit on about that. So I'm not going to turn over all of these cards. I'm just going to turn over the ones that are relevant either to the planets that I'm talking about, or particular areas of life that are kind of highlighted as a result of, planetary rulership or whatever. So let's start off with the 5th house and the 11th house, where the sun and the moon will be. Okay, so this is where the moon is going to be, and it's interesting. I mean, we've got, in fact, let me just put this here because it's a good way to sort of to remind us of, kind of house positions. So here in the 11th house is Acquisitio, which is actually a really wonderful geomantic figure. This is Jupiter in Sagittarius energy, and which is your kind of counterpart. If we assume that Gemini is rising, then 7th house is your natural kind of opposite energy. And so I do feel as though whatever this matter is with regards to friendships or groups is really about expansion on some level. So, even if you do walk away from a group situation, it's because you're moving on to something better. It could also be about a reunion with friends if you have been under lockdown, or you've had kind of restrictions of social movement. Certainly in the southern hemisphere, I think things are getting a bit more sociable as people move into summer. So this could be about group celebrations of some kind. A full moon is about culminations, and that can be about celebrations on some level. There could also be some sort of group achievement going on here. As I say, if you do belong to a group that's trying to achieve something, such as a charity, a political or professional association, or a party, then I do see success here. This is looking very, very positive. And then over here in your 5th house of, love and passion, we've got Capricornus, which is very apt for a full moon. I tend to associate Capricornus with full moons and with lunar eclipses. So for me, this is about the end of a cycle. So, if you've been single for a long time, for example, and you're really keen to meet somebody new, then this could mean an end to your single life. That's one way to sort of put it. If, for example, you've been trying to conceive, because the 5th house is also about children, then, maybe this suggests the end of one cycle, the beginning of a new cycle, so becoming a parent, for example. But it's usually about something that's ending. So I'm kind of interested to see what's in your 7th house. Interesting, yes. So here we've got Saturn in Capricorn. So this is where Saturn is currently, in Capricorn. And as I say, Saturn has just gone direct. So usually it rules your 8th house of intimacy. Interesting. So we've definitely got a shift of energy happening here. And I think this is what, it's kind of echoing this Capricornus, this shift in cycles. So the end of one karmic cycle, the beginning of another one, maybe moving out of, as I say, if you've been on by yourself, Carl says about imprisonment or isolation. So if you've been single for a long time, this is the 7th house of partnerships, then that could be ending. You could be about to meet somebody new. Definitely there's movement here. Via is progression, movement, momentum when it comes to 8th house matters, which, as I say, can be about intimacy and sex. So, I do feel as though if you're keen to meet somebody new, then it does look as though things are shifting in that direction. You might just need to be a little bit patient while, things pick up speed. So just bear that in mind. Because Mercury is going to be going retrograde about the 14th of October. So that could kind of slow things down a little bit. But, everything in its divine time is what I say. We will clarify as well with trinkets. So, let's not kind of get ahead of ourselves. So it's interesting that Saturn actually sits here in your 8th house, if we think about it. So this is where Capricorn is, if I'm not mistaken. Let me think about this. Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. Yeah, Capricorn. So this is where Saturn will be at the full moon, and Saturn is currently sitting with Pluto and with Jupiter. So I think that what we're talking about here is that Jupiter energy, which Jupiter also went direct recently, about a week or so ago. So I think that you could start to see some expansion happening, in this area, and that's why we've got this sense of movement. Jupiter is actually exalted in the sign of Cancer, which is moon. This is moon in Cancer energy, and we've got Jupiter here in your 11th house. So it could be that, as I say, you meet somebody through a group of friends or some kind of group outing, event, activity, meeting, etc. That's my feeling, is that it looks to me as though the new love is potentially kind of coming in. But let's get some trinkets just to clarify. So let's start with the sun and the moon. So 2 wanted to come out. Interesting. So first of all, we've got the coffin, and then we've got the girl. So I do think that this is pointing to the end of maybe a cycle with regards to love, because this is Venus, of course, the planet of love. But equally, it could be the end of a cycle to do with maybe a female friend. So maybe, as I say, if you haven't seen people in a long time, maybe you'll get to see an old pal that you haven't seen in a while. So that's the moon there. Lovely. So here for the sun in the 5th house, we've got the bouquet, which is lovely. So this is a kind of a romantic gesture, maybe an unexpected gift, a positive upswing in circumstances. And of course, if you've been single for a long time and you really don't enjoy being single, then this indicates a change for the better, something unexpected happening that will make you happy, a kind of a nice surprise. So I mean, that's lovely to see. Equally, it could be a pregnancy. We didn't actually look here at, okay, so it doesn't look as though this is about a pregnancy, because this Rubaeus is about a bit of family drama. So I definitely think this is more to do with new love, or potentially a holiday as well. It could be that you're going on holiday with a group of people. If you haven't kind of got away, maybe you're kind of making plans, for Christmas, for example, and you might get an invitation, a surprise invitation that will kind of make you quite happy. So let's have a look at Saturn. Yeah, so things have been a little bit difficult when it comes to, the sort of the sex and intimacy stakes. And let's face it, I mean, lockdown and social distancing hasn't done much for sexy, has it? So I think that's perfectly fitting. But, good that we've got fear here, because it suggests that things are about to change for the positive. So let's just have one for that card in the 7th house. So the garden. So yes, possibly online dating might be an idea. Social media. 11th house could also be about social media. But definitely looks as though you need to kind of open yourself up to the possibility of, meeting other people, putting yourself out there a little bit. And that may be either, socializing through groups, or it could be, as I say, some kind of online platform like a dating app, or, just social media itself. You never know who you can kind of meet, on Instagram or Facebook, that kind of thing. So yes, let's get you a final oracle card just to round off your reading, but a nice positive one for a change, Gemini. Pleased for you about that. I mean, if you have a look at the astrology, this is certainly not, this is a bit of a mixed bag of a month. It's quite sort of heavy external changes, but wonderful shifts internally. So I think that's what we need to sort of focus on. Oopsie, that one wanted to come out. So what does this say? Oh, wonderful. The universe works fast when I'm having fun. And of course, the fifth house is the house of fun. And you've got this wonderful bouquet here. So I think, you know, if you are trying to manifest somebody new in your life romantically, then definitely focus on, you know, joy and cultivating feelings of fun, playfulness, happiness, that kind of thing, because it'll help this energy to kind of shift a lot quicker. So that's really fun. I love it. Nice reading, Gemini. So yes, all the best for the upcoming waning moon cycle.